And that.
Tryna keep it low, keep them all on the need to know. Tell everybody that we just friends, but to be honest, that platonic shit for TV shows. Same place, we with different folks. Case closed if they crack the code. Is it me or is you cold? Cause the feelings you ain't showing poking at your clothes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is VJ Johnson, and I'm your host of The Know, giving you the hottest, latest updates and news in the world of sports, keeping you in the know. Sit back, relax as we take a dive and see what's circulating around Sports Nation. So let's talk some college football. As the 2015 season has now approached us, there's a lot of talk about who will end up in the college football playoff come January. As we all know, everything starts with recruiting. So let's just take a dive in and look and see who stood out in that area. LSU brings in Stephen Sullivan, the number 7 wide receiver on ESPN 300. Sullivan is 6'5", 230 pounds, out of Donaldsonville, Louisiana. When you take a look at what LSU has always brought to the wide receiver position, you have to believe that there is ample opportunity for this kid to excel. Sullivan has a quick first step, good speed, and is able to adjust and go get the football when it's in the air. These attributes will enable him to fit well within that Tiger offense. The Tigers also bring in number 5 pocket passing quarterback Felipe Franks, 6'6", 219 pounds, out of Crawfordville, Florida. Franks has the ability to stand in the pocket, survey his personnel, and take what the defense gives him. He's talented at taking the 3-step drop and getting the ball out of his hands quickly and accurately to his receivers. Not to mention he can throw the deep ball. With LSU having questions on the quarterback side, Franks has the opportunity to step in and give the Tigers what they've been looking for. Now moving ahead to the Florida State Seminoles. The Noles bring in the number 1 cornerback Levante Taylor, 5'11", 183 pounds, out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the number 1 dual-threat quarterback Malik Henry, 6'2", 185 pounds, out of Bradenton, Florida. Both of these gentlemen are 5-star recruits on ESPN 300, which says a lot about the expectations for the both of them. Taylor is a 6A state champion, recording 61 tackles, 11 for loss, 27 solo, 4 interceptions, 3 for touchdowns, and 4 forced fumbles. Henry has electrifying speed and is able to read, react, and make a play on the ball when it's in the air. He's also able to zero in on his opponent and deliver a huge blow. Malik Henry has great elusiveness in the pocket. He has great speed with the ability to turn it up the field when necessary. He can deliver a pass on the money even on the run. With his lateral movement and ability to react quickly on his feet, you can easily compare him to that of a Marcus Mariota. Now to the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. They have the number 1 defensive end Nick Bosa, 6'3", 250 pounds, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and the number 1 running back Kareem Walker, 6 feet, 200 pounds, out of Wayne, New Jersey. The Buckeyes showed great tenacity on the defensive end in last year's Sugar Bowl win against Alabama and in the title game against the Oregon Ducks. Bosa is a good fit within the defensive scheme of the Buckeyes with his ability to get off the ball and storm into the backfield, creating tackles for loss. He's able to keep his body square and bring his man to the ground, which is exactly what the defensive coaches at OSU like to see. Kareem Walker, one of the most exciting running backs in his class, is ready to make the next step in his football career. Walker is quick on his feet, can elude tacklers, and turn on the jets. His 4.4 speed allows him to create separation if he gets you in the open field. His ability to read and react to the defense and cut up the field with the football is a sight to see. Definitely keep your eyes out for this kid. And last but not least, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama has commits by the number 3 offensive tackle Jonah Williams, 6'5", 280 pounds, out of Folsom, California, as well as the number 4 cornerback Shyheim Carter, standing at 6 feet, 177 pounds. Williams brings a lot to the table with his quick footwork and ability to hold his blocks. He does a great job protecting the quarterback as well as opening up holes and lanes for the running back. He will definitely be a great asset to the team. Shyheim Carter brings a lot to the table for the Tide with his will to defend. He's quick on his feet and is able to close in and make plays when the time comes. Carter does a great job reading the quarterback's eyes and making quick decisions. There have been many questions surrounding Alabama's defense the past few years, specifically the cornerback position, as a few teams have been able to expose them by spreading them out and running up-tempo offense. Carter could come in and erase those thoughts about the Bama defense and shine for the Tide. So let's talk a little bit about the college football playoff system. With last year being the launch of this new system, we were able to see the positives and negatives. Now, many people may disagree with how this system works, but I feel like it has more of a positive than a negative impact on college football. it gives teams the opportunity to exceed and get into the college football playoff like never before. Now they no longer have to rely on a computer-generated system to tell them whether or not their season will continue. Now, there are many questions around the league about teams like Notre Dame and their eligibility for the playoff system. Coach Jimbo Fisher out of Florida State and Clemson's Dabo Swinney are among some of the coaches in the ACC voicing some of their concern about Notre Dame. They feel like Notre Dame should have been in a power conference in order to be judged equally to get into the college football playoff, which is fair enough to say. However, Notre Dame, just like any other team in the league, if they play their schedule and if they do well, if they reach the top of the college football playoff, and if the committee feels like they should be in, then there's no stopping from getting them in the system. I feel like the only negative thing about the college football playoff system is I feel like it's narrowed down to it's not enough games. I feel like we could increase this to 6 games as opposed to having 2 games. We could utilize more of the bowl games like the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl to extend the college football system, adding more teams, and just creating more of an excitement and more of a good feel for fans, and it'll just make college football better. I feel like this is something that the committee should definitely look into with the upcoming years. No, it's not going to come all at once, but I think that they can sit down and really look at things over the course of the season and see that adding more teams to the system will definitely make a good impact. Now, we're just going to move along and talk about this year's rankings for college football. The top 4 teams in the league right now, out of the preseason rankings, we have Ohio State at number 1. We have TCU sitting at number 2, Alabama Crimson Tide at number 3, and Baylor at number 4. Now, many may not agree with these rankings as well. It may come to a surprise to some people having TCU above Alabama and even Baylor up there in the top 4. Now, we all know that even though these rankings say what they say now, we don't know what to expect. These can change each and every week, as we've all seen over the course of each and every college football season. There's too much opportunity for other teams to come in, make upsets, defeat big teams. Like one year we saw Appalachian State beat a Michigan over a blocked field goal. Things like that. You never know what's going to happen in this league. So we just have to keep our eyes open, and we don't know what to expect. Again, we can watch, and fans cheer on your team and hope they can make it to the end.
When you take a look at the big free agency moves that have taken place this offseason, there's a lot of excitement and expectations floating around the atmosphere. There are 3 big free agency signings that I believe will have a huge impact this season. The first being the Miami Dolphins signing Ndamukong Suh. The Dolphins really made a huge steal with bringing in a defensive tackle as physical as Suh. Last year, he recorded 53 combined tackles and 8.5 sacks. No, he didn't have a huge year. However, he can bring the physicality to a Dolphin defense who finished 12th overall in defense last season, 6th against the pass, but 24th against the run. Suh has the ability to disrupt the line of scrimmage, get into the backfield, and make plays for his team. If he can rally this defense and get them to believe in him, despite his labeling of a dirty player, he can help improve this defense. The second big free agency signing was Pernell McPhee to the Chicago Bears. The Bears' defense was pitiful last season, finishing 30th overall in the league. They averaged giving up 377 total yards per game, 264.4 passing yards per game, and 112.7 rushing yards per game. Looking at those stats makes one wonder how a team who was built and prided itself solely on defense could stoop so lowly in the rankings. Seems like it all went downhill with the releasing of Pro Bowl linebacker Brian Urlacher. However, all is not lost. McPhee is a pass rusher, giving the Bears a spark on defense. Last season, he had 27 combined tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. McPhee will be joining forces with Jared Allen, Willie Young, Lamar Houston, Sam Acho, and Ego Ferguson. Chicago has made key moves this offseason that have helped potentially build the Bear defense back up to the Super Bowl defense it had back in 2005. Watch out for them in the NFC North. The third and final big free agency move that took place this offseason was the signing of wide receiver Andre Johnson to the Indianapolis Colts. Bringing in a big wide receiver with the size and skill set of Andre Johnson will definitely improve the Colts' passing game even more. Last season, Johnson had 85 receptions, 936 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Not a huge year for him, but there is no limit to what he can accomplish and bring to the table on the offensive side of the ball. Andre Johnson is by far one of the biggest threats in the league, with the ability to go up and get the football. His size, speed, and athleticism will give Andrew Luck and the rest of the Indy offense a lift this year. Watch out for them to be in the race back to the AFC Championship.
One of the hottest stories circulating around the NFL this offseason was the recent suspension of NFL quarterback Tom Brady. Brady had been suspended by Roger Goodell for the first 4 games of the 2015 NFL season, along with $1 million fine after his alleged knowledge of deflated footballs in the 2014 AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts. A federal judge has recently nullified Brady's 4-game suspension, clearing him for the 2015 season. I don't completely agree with this decision. I feel like Tom Brady had some knowledge of the deflated footballs, and I feel like violating the integrity of the game, there should be some type of punishment. Nevertheless, he has been cleared to play, and he will play. Now, Goodell did the right thing, even if it meant him taking the example of a quarterback who's loved around the league, such as Tom Brady. Now, despite this 4-game suspension being nullified, Roger Goodell will attempt to appeal this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 2015 Hall of Fame inductees. We have Jerome Bettis, Charles Haley, Tim Brown, Junior Seau, Will Shields, Bill Polian, Ron Wolf, and Mick Tingelhoff. Jerome Bettis was 5th all-time in career rushing yards with 13,662. Haley was the only player in NFL history to have 5 Super Bowl rings with playing. Seau made 12 Pro Bowls in his 20 seasons in the NFL. Brown, he retired with the 2nd most receiving yards in NFL history. Shields hadn't missed 1 game in 14 seasons with 224 games played and 223 starts. Polian's teams combined to appear in 5 Super Bowls. He had 3 with the Bills and 2 with the Colts. Tingelhoff was starting center at rookie, and he played in 240 games in 17 seasons and playing in 19 playoff games. Wolf played an outstanding 23 seasons with the Oakland Raiders and back-to-back Super Bowls with the Green Bay Packers. Now, these 8 gentlemen were definitely earned the right to be in the Hall of Fame. Blood, sweat, and tears throughout their NFL football careers, and really propelled their careers and helped them stand out among other NFL players. Just want to give a big shout out and congratulations to this year's 2015 Hall of Fame inductees. Now, the college basketball season is ways away from us, but I'm just curious to know who you guys have as your 4 potential top seeds in next year's NCAA tournament. It doesn't have to be accurate. I'm just, again, curious to know where you guys' heads are and who do you think will stand out among the rest. My potential top 4 seeds I have are Kentucky, Duke, Virginia, and Arizona. I also need one sleeper team from everybody as well. My one sleeper team for this year is going to be UNC. Now, we all know what happens in March. It's chaos, pandemonium, excitement, disappointments, upsets, all of the above. You just don't know what to expect come March. Any team can lose. Any team is vulnerable. And it's one of those things where you grow to love it. Despite the disappointments, despite the upsets, your team not winning, you still, each and every year, you will fill out a bracket, and you're just gonna keep doing it. You're just gonna love it. You're gonna learn to cherish it, because that's just what March Madness is all about. Now, if you haven't already, go to ESPN.com, fill out a bracket, fill it out with your friends. You can join the league on there. It's very fun and interactive. College basketball and March Madness is just what we live for.
Looking at last year's NBA season, one can definitely say we were all on our toes the entire year. many teams showed up and showed out throughout the regular season, making eyebrows raise. One of those teams being the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks had an outstanding regular season, finishing 60-22 and number one in the East, only to be swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. They were very tough to beat in Phillips Arena, finishing 35-6 at home. The Golden State Warriors were finally able to get over the hump in the tough Western Conference and reach the NBA Finals, eventually becoming your 2014-2015 NBA champions. They finished with a 67-15 record and 39-2 at home. And let's not forget about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who entered their season with a new and improved roster after LeBron took his talents back home. The Cavs continued to get better and better as the season went on, looking sharper as a unit each game. Even after the disappointing loss of Kevin Love with the season-ending shoulder injury and the banged-up Kyrie Irving, they were still able to rally past the Chicago Bulls and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and eventually the NBA Finals.
Now, looking into the upcoming NBA season, there's a lot of questions and talk about who will rise to the occasion, who will stand out in the East and the West. I'm going to briefly just give you my top 4 seeds as well as a sleeper team out of the East and the West. At number 1, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think LeBron coming back to Cleveland was great for that city. I think that he will rally along with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. They will get that squad together and they will storm and be as powerful as never before this upcoming season. Chicago, even with their disappointing loss to the Cavs, I think Derrick Rose and those guys will get it together. Paul Gasol will come up big. They'll have Dunleavy there. They'll have Butler playing good. They'll have Doug McDermott. As long as they can stay healthy, I think they can make a good run in the East. They could get to the Eastern Conference Finals and potentially facing the Cavs or Atlanta, whoever can emerge. Speaking of Atlanta, I have them at number 3 in the East. They had an amazing year last year as well. I have Milwaukee coming in at number 4. They gave Chicago a run last year. Giannis, OJ Mayo, those guys really put together a good ball club, and they're ready to make some noise out of the East. My sleeper team in the East is going to be Miami. A lot of people don't think Miami can make anything happen. We do forget that is Dwayne Wade's team. He's been there since his career started, and I think that he can get those guys together. Out of the West, of course, I have the Golden State Warriors, your reigning NBA Finals champions. I have the San Antonio Spurs. They just recently added LaMarcus Aldridge, which would be a big lift for their team. I have the Houston Rockets. They'll have Sam Decker, Dwight Howard, James Harden. Those guys show up big for their team. Number 4, I have the Los Angeles Clippers, who recently were able to bring DeAndre Jordan back after his questions of whether or not he was going to leave and sign with another team. And my sleeper in the West is going to be the Los Angeles Kings. Now, despite what many people may think, again, there are a lot of expectations for this season, but again, we don't know what to expect. Anybody can emerge, anybody can play well. I'm just excited about what's going to happen. I'm excited to get the season kicked off. I know we have football going on. I'm also excited about basketball. Just curious and anxious to see what is going to happen come June in the NBA Finals. Now let's talk some baseball, shall we? The National and American League standings are getting interesting as we have this race to October. In the AL standings, the Kansas City Royals are sitting at number 1, followed by Toronto Blue Jays, who are 5.5 games back. The New York Yankees are 7 games back, and the Houston Astros are 8 games back. In the National League standings, the St. Louis Cardinals are sitting at number 1, followed by the Pittsburgh Pirates at number 2, 6 games back. The Chicago Cubs sit at number 3 at 11 games back, and the Dodgers are 11.5 games back, sitting at number 4. Now let's take a look at who's been emerging this baseball season.
One surprise team out of the National League is the Chicago Cubs. Yes, the Chicago Cubs. After now being 107 years without appearing in the World Series, have a great chance to end the curse this season. Under new general manager Joe Maddon, The Cubs have made some roster changes that have enabled them to make a statement and put themselves in good position heading into October. Chicago is being led by first baseman Anthony Rizzo with a .282 batting average, 27 home runs, 79 RBIs, and 135 hits. Jake Arrieta is doing his job on the pitching end with a 2.11 ERA, 190 strikeouts, and 17 wins. With a 75-57 record, Chicago now sits at third in the NL Central and sit atop the wild card standings along with the Pittsburgh Pirates. If they can continue playing good baseball like they have been all season, this ball club can rally and we could very well see them in the World Series. The Kansas City Royals currently sit at number 1 in the AL Central with the 80-51 record. After making an appearance in the World Series last year in an attempt to bring home their first title since 1985, the Royals came up short against the San Francisco Giants, losing 4-3 in the series. This season, the Royals are being led by center fielder Lorenzo Cain with a .311 batting average, catcher Salvador Perez with 18 home runs, and Kendrys Morales with 91 RBIs. On the pitching end, Edinson Volquez is leading the team with 12 wins, 3.27 ERA, and 124 strikeouts. If they can find a way to continue to stay hot in this race to October, Kansas City could very well make it back to an appearance in the World Series. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to The Know. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the button you see below. Tune in next Friday as I give you the hottest and latest updates and news in the world of sports. I'm your host, Varick Johnson II, and I just kept you in the know.
So try and keep it low. Keep them all on the need to know. Tell them all that we just cool. As far as me and you, we got a simple code. Spend the nights, well, that's optional.